Speaking of shooting, Caitlin Clark hits a deep three. Clark has 10 straight games with 3 or more threes, the longest streak in WNBA history.
It's Caitlin Clark.
Her basketball IQ, her court vision, you just can't say enough about it.
Caitlin Clark just lost a ton of fans. Why? She liked a Taylor Swift post about Kamala Harris. That's it. One click, and boom, her fans are mad. Is this fair? Let's break it down. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now back to the video. You think Clark's tap was innocent? Think again. This whole mess started with Taylor Swift, and it's way bigger than just basketball. What happens when America's sweetheart meets America's favorite sport? Chaos, that's what. Here's the deal. Taylor Swift, the pop superstar, dropped a bombshell on social media. She endorsed Kamala Harris for the 2024 election, and the internet went wild. But why should basketball fans care? Well, Caitlin Clark, our WNBA sensation, couldn't resist hitting that like button. Imagine this. Clark scrolling through her feed, sees Swift's post and thinks, hey, I'll show some support. Boom. One little tap, and suddenly the basketball world's on fire. It's like she dunked on her own career without even stepping on the court.
Logo threes. It's her signature. That is the most Caitlin Clark way to win a game.
That are in the top of our league, and obviously Atlanta's a really good team, but you know, the Liberty, Connecticut, Minnesota, those are the type of teams that do not let you back.
The backlash was instant and intense. Fans went from cheering Clark's name to booing her social media game. One angry supporter didn't hold back, saying, if you're a public figure, the last thing you want to do is alienate 50% of your fan base. Ouch! That's gotta hurt more than any defensive foul. But wait, it gets worse. Another fan went all out, declaring, you just couldn't keep your politics out of sports. Have just lost millions of supporters the bar on Trump 2024. Talk about a tough crowd. It's like Clark accidentally stepped into a political minefield instead of the free throw line. Now you might be thinking, come on, it's just a like. What's the big deal? Well, in today's world, everything's a big deal, especially when you're a rising star like Clark. One minute, you're the darling of the WNBA. The next, you're caught in a political crossfire. It's like trying to shoot a three-pointer with both teams guarding you at once. Clark tried to explain herself, saying she was just supporting the idea of voting, not picking sides. But for some fans, the damage was already done. They felt betrayed, like Clark had switched teams mid-season. Some even threatened to unfollow her, which in today's social media-driven world is like fans walking out of the arena in the middle of a game. This whole situation raises some big questions. Is encouraging people to vote really such a controversial move? Or are fans overreacting, turning a simple like into a full-court press against their favorite player? It's like the ref just called a foul, but nobody can agree if it was the right call.
I'm gonna do my best. I mean, it's still really hard basketball, like playing at this level. You know, everybody's gonna be, competing really hard coming back from the break, obviously with playoffs on the line.
And that floor spacing, the pop she brings, the steal that she had where she pulls up. And we didn't show that highlight because to me, that was a game-changing play.
Remember when athletes were just athletes? Those days are long gone. Now, a simple social media move can change everything. That's exactly what happened to Caitlin Clark, and the reason why is pretty wild. One little tap on her phone, and boom, thousands of fans gone just like that. We're not talking about a few angry tweets here. This is a full-blown fan exodus. Clark's social media feeds turned into a war zone overnight. Fans who once cheered her every move were now booing her off the digital court. It's like she went from MVP to bench warmer without even touching a basketball. But here's where it gets really interesting. Not everyone's jumping ship. Some fans are standing their ground, defending Clark's right to express herself. One supporter didn't hold back, saying, already turning on Caitlin for simple liking a post, you were never fans to begin with. Ouch. Talk about drawing a line in the sand. This whole mess raises a big question. Should athletes just shut up and dribble? Or do they have the right to speak their minds, even if it costs them fans? It's like Clark's caught in a game where the rules keep changing. One minute, she's breaking records on the court. The next, she's breaking the internet, and not in a good way. You know what's crazy? This isn't just about Caitlin Clark. It's happening all over the sports world. Athletes are getting heat for speaking up about politics, social issues, you name it. It's like they can't win. Stay quiet, and people say they're not using their platform. Speak up, and they're told to stick to sports. But let's be real for a second.
And sometimes I don't even realize how far away I am. Like, I watch it back on film and I'm like, wow, I should not shoot that shot.
Then Fever down 2. Look at
I mean,
show and go.
when you have that screen, I mean, that's just like Steph Curry and Draymond right there.
Is it fair to judge athletes based on their political views instead of their game? Imagine if we started benching players because of who they voted for instead of how many points they scored. That's insane, right? This whole situation is like a mirror showing us how messed up things have gotten. We're in a world where one social media like can overshadow years of hard work and talent. It's not just about sports anymore. It's about everything that happens off the court too. So, what's an athlete supposed to do? Play it safe and keep their opinions to themselves? Or risk it all and speak their mind? There's no easy answer. It's like trying to make a game-winning shot with the whole world watching and judging your every move. But what if this whole Caitlin Clark situation is just the tip of the iceberg? There's a storm brewing in the sports world, and it's not just about who's scoring on the court anymore. It's about who's speaking up off it. This Caitlin Clark drama, it's part of something way bigger, folks. We're talking about a clash between sports and politics that's been building for years. You've got people on both sides of this thing, and they're not backing down. Some fans are shouting, "Stick to basketball." They want their sports pure, no politics allowed. But others, they're cheering on athletes who use their fame to speak up about big issues.
Any good shooter can really feel the ball off their hand like that. So I kind of know, and then sometimes I get ready to celebrate and fire up the crowd. And then the next time down.
Consequently, like that just doesn't happen, and we have to find a way to, be able to respond.
It's like watching two teams go at it, but the game's happening on social media instead of the court. Now here's where it gets real interesting. Female athletes like Clark, they're playing a whole different ballgame when it comes to this stuff. The pressure on them is intense, way more than what the guys face. It's like they're trying to score while carrying extra weight. One wrong move, and boom, the backlash hits hard. But you know what's crazy? This mess might actually be good for sports. Yeah, you heard that right. All this drama could spark some serious conversations we need to have. Like, what do we really expect from our athletes? Are they just supposed to shut up and play? Or do they have a right to use their fame to talk about stuff that matters? Think about it. We're living in a world where a single like on social media can change everything for an athlete. Is that fair? Should we judge them based on their politics instead of their game? It's like we're asking them to play by rules that keep changing. And here's another thing to chew on. Maybe this isn't just about sports. Maybe it's a mirror showing us how messed up things have gotten in general. We're so divided that we can't even enjoy a basketball game without bringing politics into it. That's pretty wild when you think about it. But let's flip the script for a second. What if athletes like Clark are actually doing us a favor?
Postseason, I think they can win a first-round matchup depending on who they play. Right now, they're seeded to play the Connecticut Sun.
Well, the first thing is I feel like I know if it's going in right off my hand, and I think that just speaks to how much time I put in and how many shots I've taken.
Caitlin Clark unloads!
By speaking up, they're forcing us to face some big questions. Like, how do we balance personal beliefs with public expectations? And in a world where everything's political, is it even possible to keep sports separate? Here's something else to consider. Maybe we're asking too much of these athletes. We want them to be role models, but only in the ways we approve of. We cheer when they support causes we like, but lose our minds when they say something we don't agree with. Is that really fair? All this drama with Caitlin Clark, it's not happening in a vacuum. It's part of a bigger conversation we're having as a society. About free speech, about the role of athletes, about where we draw the line between personal and public life. And you know what? Maybe that's not such a bad thing. So, next time you see an athlete trending for something they said off the court, don't just roll your eyes. Think about the bigger picture. What does it say about us as fans, as a society? Are we ready to let athletes be more than just entertainers? Or do we want to keep them in a box, only allowed to express themselves through their sport?